Hey everyone! I hope you're having an amazing Adobe Max so far. My name is Karina Anglada and I'm so excited to be here with you. Welcome y bienvenidos a mi session. A little bit about me. I currently work with Adobe, but prior to that, I spent a long time editing and producing video content for a variety of sports organizations. And now I get to do it for fun in addition to my work with Adobe. My goal with this session is to showcase a variety of AI powered solutions that will help you spark some creativity and generate some new ideas. So when you take on your next project or continue the one you're already working on, you'll be able to really optimize your video content for better engagement on social media. So let's dive right in. I'm going to get started in Premiere Pro, where I have this awesome video featuring the one and only Valentina V, and she's talking about what is in one of her equipment bags. Now, this is a 16 by 9 video, but I went ahead and started playing around to see what a vertical video might look like and make it 9 by 16. Here, she's talking about her bag. And one of the things that's awesome about Premiere Pro is there are social media templates that show me where some of the social platforms might already have some existing graphics. I've got it on this overlay and I can delete this or hide the layer before I export. But there's a ton of templates that are helpful for social video content like Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube. So one thing that I see here is I want to be able to have a space to put captions, maybe here. I don't want to distract from what is actually happening, which is her talking about her bag. Could put captions right above here, but I'm going to use something called Generative Expand with Photoshop to help me generate some extra pixels. So I'm going to go to my 16 by 9 video here, and I'm going to select any frame in the video. Doesn't matter which one you pick, as long as it's the 16 by 9. Here, I'm going to click the camera to export a frame. If you don't see this, just click this plus sign button editor and click and drag that camera to this window. So I'm going to click export frame and call this what's in my bag, expand, and press OK. And it's going to import into my project. And here I see the file. So I'm going to right click this and take it into Photoshop. From here, I'm in Photoshop and I'm going to select the crop tool and I'm going to expand this image. Now I'm going to zoom out for a second and I'm just going to drag upwards because again, I wanted to leave space for the captions. Now, if you for some reason don't see the contextual taskbar down here, just click Window, Contextual Taskbar, and it will pop up. And it's asking me, what do I want to generate in this empty space? I'm going to leave it blank and just click Generate. And Adobe Firefly and Generative AI is going to use its own magic to generate some new pixels based on the existing image. And here I can see 3 different variations to choose from. What's awesome is I can do this as many times as I want and generate as many images as I'd like until I get exactly what I'm looking for. I really like this one right now. That one's pretty cool. There's a few other ones that looks really kind of sci-fi. This one's my favorite and it looks really natural. So I'm going to go ahead and click File, Export, Quick Export as PNG, save this as Expand 3, and press Save. And we're going to jump back into Premiere Pro, where I'm going to import what we just created and jump over to that 9 by 16 video. Now I'm going to drag the image that we created onto V2 of my video. And if I scrub through, you'll see it's just this still image of her. So I'm going to resize it in my effects controls, maybe set it to about 50 scale. Whoops, grabbed the wrong layer. Make sure that I'm grabbing the still that we just created. And from here, I'm going to lower the opacity so that I can see the image behind me. And here, I'm just going to start resizing it and try to eyeball those lamps as a way to line it up exactly. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to bring that opacity back up. And you might say, well, hey, there's still no video. What are you doing? So I'm going to add a crop tool so that I can see what we're working with. So I added the crop and I'm going to crop the bottom. And now there's that blurred line. We still see a little bit of line. So I'm going to just feather the edges a little bit. And now it's blended in. And now let's play through our video. It looks like she's in this existing space, but we used generative AI and the power of Firefly to make some new pixels. And now we've got plenty of space for us to work with those captions down the road. So that's using generative expand with Photoshop and using it to your advantage with video content. But one of the other things that I want to do is I want to start editing my video. So I'm going to use something called text-based editing. And it sounds exactly what the title is. You edit based on the text. But we've got this 7-minute video here. And one of the things that happens all the time with content is, there's pauses, there's and it's just really time consuming to go through all of those. Well, in the text panel of Premiere Pro, in the bottom right corner, if you click transcript view options, you can check and tell Premiere to show you words like and filler words. You can say, hey, show me the speakers. You can also say, Premiere Pro, show me all the pauses and silences. And you can decide what minimum pause length you want. So if you're doing documentary work, maybe you want longer pauses, but this is social video content. And so I want my content really fast and snappy. So I'm going to set my minimum pause length to 0.2 seconds and click save. Now, under the ellipses throughout my transcript, it shows me each pause and how long the pause is. So this is so awesome. But let's say I want to go ahead and start deleting them. I could select them and just one by one delete all these pauses, but ain't nobody got time for that, especially not me. So I'm going to batch delete all the pauses really quickly. Next to the search bar in the transcript panel, I'm going to click it and select pauses. From here, I'll click delete, select extract, and click delete all, watch the timeline, and bam, it extracted and removed all of those pauses and silences throughout. So what was a 7-minute video is now about 5 minutes long. So with just a couple of clicks, we removed all the pauses and saved ourselves a lot of time. But now I want to start really getting into the edit. So I'm going to select this footage here and I'm going to turn off the pauses because I really want to focus on the text first and foremost. So I remember Valentina did some intros here and I'm just going to start reading through the script. But let's take a listen and see how it sounds.
Hey, my name is Valentina V, and I'm a cinematographer and director based in Los Angeles. I thought it would be cool to show you what's in my ditty bag.
So that's a great way to open the piece. So I'm just going to select that text, and from here, I can either press the insert button or press the comma key and add that to my timeline. Now, I also remember there was a point where she brought her bag onto the table. There it is. But she mentioned the word boom. I remember that. So I'm going to type in boom in the search, and it takes me exactly to the word that I was looking for, and boom, pun intended, here it is in all its glory. I'm going to select that text and add it to my timeline with the comma key. And now let's get into what's actually in her bag. So she says we have a pair of scissors. I'll select that, add that to the timeline. As I scroll down, and again, I'm just skimming here, she says I have a few A clips. I'll select that, press the comma key. And she says, I have some batteries, AA batteries, and the most important thing is my multi-tool. Okay, that's a great soundbite. I'll add that to the timeline. Let's see how we did.
Hey, my name is Valentina V, and I'm a cinematographer and director based in Los Angeles. I thought it would be cool to show you what's in my ditty bag. Boom, here it is in all its glory. We have a pair of scissors. I have a few A clips. I have some batteries, some AA batteries, and the most important thing is my multi-tool. Hey,
amazing. So let's say that battery section was a little bit redundant. So she kind of repeats herself. So I'm just going to select this. I have some batteries and it automatically applied an in and out point on my timeline. I'm just going to press the X key to extract that from my timeline. And just like any text document, I can cut and paste and remove things around. So if I want to put some AA batteries at the top, after I have a few A clips, I'm moving through my edit and I'm working with text-based editing in a really fast and efficient way. Now, as I'm building this edit, I do realize some of the audio sounds a little bit echoey and tinny. Now, Valentina is an incredible cinematographer and director, but I know on this shoot, the audio was recorded separately. Now, sometimes when you're on the fly or you're in a rush or things happen on set, maybe a mic failed or you didn't have time to mic someone up, you can use something called enhance speech. So let's apply that to this audio. I'm going to click this little person icon. It looks like someone's speaking. And when I click it, it's going to take me to the essential sound panel. And from here, I'm going to click enhance speech. And what enhance speech does is it basically makes any voice recording sound like it was recorded in a professional studio. So we applied this enhanced speech. Let's take a listen.
Boom, here it is in all its glory. I have a few A clips.
So now you hear a little bit of that tinny sound. Again, we're just going to select all those clips and click enhance. What we can do is we can set the level of the enhancement that's applied. So I'm going to match it to what it was before and do the same thing with this one. Click enhance speech, bring it down to about 5.5. And now we've got a beautiful sounding piece of audio. Let's take one more listen.
Hey, my name is Valentina V, and I'm a cinematographer and director based in Los Angeles.
And we'll bring
I
it up.
thought it would be cool to show you what's in my ditty bag.
So enhanced speech is such an amazing way to save some of your audio and tweak and improve so that it sounds really crisp and clean for social media. So that's text-based editing and enhanced speech in a nutshell. Another part of social video content is really choosing key moments in your video. And in this one, I love the point where she says, boom, her arms go out. She's really emphasizing that moment. I think we could do something that's really fun with it. Maybe put the actual word boom behind her. But to do that, we are going to rely on After Effects and use the Roto Brush tool. So I'm going to take this clip by right-clicking and click Replace with After Effects Composition, and it takes me straight to After Effects because it's using something called Dynamic Link. So we see this same clip where she says, boom, here's all my bag in its glory. I'm going to take this clip, duplicate it, and I'm just going to rename this here to background so I don't get confused with my layers. And what I want to do is I want to use the Roto Brush tool on this top layer by double clicking, and I want to select Valentina with the Roto Brush tool so that I can remove her. What I'm doing is I'm just selecting the part that I want. And because I think I'm going to just put the text right above her shoulders, it doesn't need to be perfect. But look how amazing of a job it did quickly selecting what I was looking at. It's found the edges of her sweater. And now if I play it, I'll put it on mute. You can see it's following the movement of her hands even when she turns the bag. The Roto Brush tool is absolutely amazing, amazing, amazing. So let's go back to our composition, and I'm going to right click, create some text, and we're going to add the text boom behind Valentina. But you might say, hey, Karina, the text is still in front of her. What's going on there? Well, I realize that my text is above the layer that we just used Roto Brush on. So I'm going to drop it down a layer, and there it is behind her. So now you see the power of the Roto Brush tool. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to make this really come to life. The text is looking a little bit too simple for me, a little too basic. And I'm not basic. So we are going to jump into Illustrator to bring this to life a little bit more. So I'm going to create some text here, and I'm going to size this up from 12 point font and go 100. and we're going to type in the word boom. Oops, there we go. Let's select everything and type boom. And here, earlier, I was playing around with the fonts and I found one that was really fun called Marvin. It's got this cartoon look, and I'm going to take the touch type tool. Ooh, can't say that 10 times fast. The touch type tool. And I'm just going to make some adjustments really quickly to this text, make it a little more playful. And from here, I want to take this text and add some 3D elements to it. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to click inflate under 3D and materials. And then I'm going to inflate both sides. And here we're going to get a 3D kind of look to our text, which is going to level up from what that basic white text that we were working with earlier. Now, from here, there it is. We've got this black text. If I really wanted to, I could change the color. So I'm going to double click this and change it to blue. And that's starting to look really, really cool. So I use the color picker to add the new color here. Another thing that's a big part of social video content is using graphics to set your content apart. And one of the things that I want to create is a logo bug or an icon that always identifies my work. Now, one of the things that I can do is under properties, I'm going to generate, let's see. Under properties, let me toggle off this layer real quick. Under properties, there it is. I'm going to generate a vector. So I'm going to click generate vectors. And here you saw what I was playing around with before. I'm going to type in a film slate with a circle around it. And with my text, I use this prompt to generate a vector. Here I can select the icons, I can select the effects that I want. Maybe I want a 3D look, maybe I want a flat design or pixel art. I'm going to select isometric. Here I can select the colors, the number of colors, specify the colors. I'm going to keep it real simple and click generate. And from here, it's going to generate 3 variations just like it did in Photoshop. But this is using the power of Adobe Firefly with an Illustrator for vectors. So now I have 3 iterations that I can work with. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. I really like 3, but one thing that I want to do is I want to recolor it because while these colors work for me, I want to look at some other options. So I'll click recolor. Here I can make some adjustments, or I could use generative recolor. And here I can type in a prompt and describe the color palette or mood that I'm looking for, or work with some sample prompts. So I really like this trippy disco lights sample prompt. So I'm going to look at that, and this is what I can use with the power of Firefly and generative recolor. Here's some really beautiful, vibrant ones. I really like this yellow one. I think it's going to pop really well with Valentina's purple background. So I'm just going to, I'm going to take this vector and I'm going to save it as a PNG, export it as a PNG, and we're going to call this Max Icon 2 and save it. And we're also going to go back and we're going to save that text layer that we had before as an Illustrator file. Save as, save on your computer, Max, boom. There we go. So let's jump back over to After Effects and we're going to animate this text that we just created, that boom letter. So I'm going to bring in that Illustrator file. It's working slowly but surely. And there's the PNG. So I can drop this in so I can see what it looks like. I could maybe animate this, maybe mask out the arrows. But for now, I just want to get a sense of what it looks like. And I'm just going to toggle that off for now. And I'm going to import that Illustrator file that we just created and drag it onto the text layer. We're going to delete the white text from before, scale up this text behind Valentina, and this is starting to look really cool. It actually looks, the color looks awesome with the purple background. But what I want to do is I want to mask these letters one by one, and I want to bring them to life even more. So I'm going to duplicate this Illustrator layer of the boom text 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to toggle off Valentina's layers, and I'm just going to use the pen tool to mask out each individual letter. Now, why am I doing this? This is because if I wanted to do something with the text right now, it would operate as one unit. By selecting each letter, this is going to allow me to be a little bit more playful with what I'm working with in my animation. So I'm just using the pen tool to mask out each letter individually. And now, if I want to, I can see these letters come on one by one. And let's see what it looks like. So there we go. Now I have those letters there. If I want to, I can go forward and I can make some other adjustments. I could add some expressions and add a wiggle to each of these letters. And there's so many things that you can do working with RotoBrush tool and all of the things that we just went through. So let's jump back over to Premiere Pro to take a look at our edit. Because again, remember, everything is connected through Dynamic Link with After Effects and Premiere Pro. And I'm just going to mute this for now. And there she is saying boom. And what I could do is actually, I could animate it off so it doesn't stay behind her the whole time. So let's jump back over to After Effects. And just like before, I'm just going to select these. And we're going to have the letters come off one by one. So they go on, they go off, and if we jump back to Premiere, we see that in its beautiful glory, nice and quick. We could even make it faster if we wanted to, but for now, that's looking really good. So I forgot about my icon, so let's bring that into Premiere. Whoops, I brought in the wrong one. And we're going to drag that onto our timeline. And again, I could have some fun with this, maybe use it for intro, outros, but I'm just going to scale this down and I'm going to put it in the upper right corner so it's always identifiable as my content. I'm kind of like a control freak in that regard. So from here, I want to add captions to this video. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, in my text panel, click Captions. When I click Captions, it's going to give me the option to create captions from transcript. I'll select this, and here it gives me the option to set a style. Now, I saved some of these ahead of time, bold captions. This is actually, from the project templates, but you could save styles. For now, I'm going to click None, and we'll use the default that Premiere Pro has. And I can also decide how many characters I want, the minimum duration in seconds, if I want double or single lines. And I'm going to go with single and click Captions, and boom, there are all our captions ready for me to work with. But if I wanted to make any adjustments to these captions, I'm just going to double click the caption and it takes me to Essential Graphics. From here, if I wanted to change the color, let's say to match my icon from Illustrator, I'm just going to use the eyedropper tool and press OK. And now we're starting to align and build our graphics so that they look seamless and they look cohesive. But if I scrub down, wait a minute, my captions are white. If I want to maintain the change that I just made to all of the captions on my track without going through one by one, all I need to do is under track style, click redefine style, this little button right here, and here I can select all captions on track, press OK, and those changes will apply to all of my text on my timeline. So this is starting to come together. I can do the same exact thing for fonts. So if I wanted to change the font and apply that, I can apply that across my timeline. Now, if you like this caption and you want to reuse it in the future, you can do something called saving the track style by clicking the plus sign and creating a style. And this time I'll call it yellow captions. bottom of the screen. So I know what these are and can save them to my project, and I can save to local styles. So this is a great way for you to use a variety of captions and track styles depending on the content you're working with. The last thing that I want to show you is an amazing feature that reformats your content for different platforms. Now, earlier in the session, we saw what you could do with generative AI to create some additional space for yourself with pixels that don't exist. But if you finish your edit and you're ready to export and you want this 16 by 9 video to become, let's say, a 1 by 1 or a 9 by 16 vertical video, you can use something called auto reframe sequence. So I'm going to find my sequence in my timeline. Here it is. I'm just going to right click and select auto reframe sequence. When I click this, it gives me this dialog which asks me to give it a sequence name. It defaults to whatever content that you are resizing it to. You can select the target aspect ratio. In my case, I want to turn this into a 1 by 1. And you can also select your motion tracking. So you can decide, hey, I want some slower motion, I want some faster motion. For now, I'm going to select default. And here, when I click create, it's going to duplicate the sequence that I have originally into a different aspect ratio and apply the auto reframe effect to all the clips on my timeline. So there it is. There's my 1 by 1. You see that it moved the icon into the frame of the 1 by 1. And oh, by the way, it has my auto reframe sequences in a nice organized folder. So you can repeat this process as many times as you need, working with the different content and platforms that your content will be posted to. These are just a few of the many AI powered features that we have in so many of our tools. I hope you enjoyed our session, and I hope you have the best Adobe Max ever. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.